You guys can go ahead. We're starting to stream. If you haven't signed in on Hopkins Groups, you can scan that QR code that's right up there. That will be right up there. The meeting has already started. Come sit. Come sit, friendos. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and do call to order and roll call. It is 7 o'clock. The meeting has already been started. And we are rolling. If any of your class council members are not here, please text them at this time and tell them to show up. So starting off with call to order and roll call. Executive Board, President.
Here.
Brianna, here. Karen. Oh. Karen will be here. All right, Elena. Here. Nathan. Here. Angela. Here. Grace.
She's on her way.
Okay. Nikki is absent. Pritika. Here. Suba.
Here.
Veda.
Here.
Talia.
Here.
Chanette.
Here.
Jiwon.
Hey.
Obi is absent. Peter.
Present.
Sophie's absent. Kobe.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here? You showed up?
Yeah.
Good luck on your exam. Did you do it already?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay. Kobe.
Here.
Harvey.
Hello.
Ireland.
Here.
Jenny.
Here.
Rachel.
Here.
Raj.
Here.
Shalala.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Dahlhart.
Where's the heart?
All right. Somebody text Dahlhart. Jackson. Running behind. Jean.
Here.
John. I don't think he made it into him. Kaya.
Here.
Nasreen. Freshman class count. Get your lift together, guys. Shame. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and start off with reports, starting with Executive Board and SGA branch reports. President, take it away.
Hi guys, welcome back to another amazing SGA meeting on Tuesday. Woo! So just some quick updates. We are having the CSO X Lead X Finance Town Hall tomorrow from 6 to 7 in Charles Commons, Salon
C, right?
C, Salon C, just wanted to make sure. Make sure to show up if you are a student leader / disperse this information to other student leaders, just so they have an opportunity to engage with the lead office if they have not had that opportunity before. Additionally, I've been in communication with OIE and student conduct about setting up the next student forum, which will most likely be on March 31st. Me and the WGMC leaders who are also participating in this will be meeting with them next week sometime to figure out the final details. Additionally, if you have an interest in speaking at the President Daniels event, please make sure to fill out that form that we had sent earlier. Right now, only 2 people have applied. So this is an amazing opportunity for you to engage personally with President Daniels. Huh?
Send it in the Teams.
Yeah, I'll send it again in the Teams later tonight / tomorrow morning. But if you want to be part of this, you have to submit a story by Friday. If you do not submit it by Friday, you will not be considered for this position or opportunity. So I really highly recommend you will literally be like facing the president and he will like be listening to every single word you say. So this is like amazing. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna get this. Like, you're not going to just see him on the street and he's just going to be standing there, like, waiting to listen to you, like, you know? So, submit that. Anything else?
I think that was it.
I think that's it for right now.
Alrighty, moving on to Executive Vice President reports. Closing PRDC applications next week. We should have all of the interviews for PRDC finally done. I have the tabling event report up, even though I did not go to table because I had class. We will likely be moving tabling events to Wednesdays because there seems to be better turnout. Less people are on campus on Friday. In addition, I just want to remind everyone of the attendance things here. Excused absences are for emergencies or unforeseen circumstances or things you can't get moved, such as exams, family emergencies, medical emergencies, COVID exposure, that kind of thing. So just make sure you're following that. You got elected, so you want to be here, hopefully, so show up, you know? I say that after missing the last 2 meetings for medical reasons. So, oops. Also, I'm back. I didn't die. We're great. Everything's good. Very happy. So, glad to be back. We had our executive board meeting with Carolyn today, just reviewed a couple of things. I will be meeting with each of the class councils. Okay, gonna question that later. We'll be meeting with each of the class councils about the dances / formal / proms that everyone's planning, just to check in and make sure everybody is, on a good timeline for that as far as we know. We got some good feedback Caucuses, I want to meet with the chairs of the caucuses at some point, so you'll get an email from me scheduling that. And then there's a slight change to how we do the agenda, just to consolidate things, because I get agenda items from Teams, email, text. Somebody DM'd me on Instagram, I think that was Ryan. Somebody DM'd me on Instagram an agenda item, or it was GroupMe or something like that. So Sundays at noon, I will send out an email, reply to the email with the agenda item, the name, who's presenting, and a link to whatever you want to present. And then I'll, just to make it easier and make sure we're going out on time. I apologize for this agenda being late. I was waiting to gather all of the items that we can. Again, we do have a pretty packed agenda today, so please be present. We'll get through this quickly, efficiently, and make sure we give everything its due diligence. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the executive treasurer report. Take it away. Over there today.
We had a finance staff meeting yesterday, and we went over the guidelines, and those will be presented later this meeting. Also, reminder for the town hall is happening tomorrow. For that, we finished the presentation on the finance portion of it, and that's about it for me. Thanks.
Alrighty, moving on to executive secretary, Elena.
I met with the CMC last weekend. We have a couple of projects planned. One is first on the Walker Mountain Studies Talk around campus. And one is for the SCAers and how it can help people. Also a reminder that we're call form Thursday tonight, and if we don't turn it in, it's the disciplinary mark. And for class presidents and committee chairs, fill out attendance. I'll be putting tonight or tomorrow morning, and if it's not filled out, then everybody will be marked absent. And I'll also be checking for meetings and talking groups and reporting disciplinary infractions in the next week.
So do all your things.
Point of order, if there were no absences, do we need to put anything there or just put zero?
Alrighty, moving on to the LHAC open input period, which we didn't get any LHAC submissions. I'm going to be posting on Instagram so we get some new ones for the semester, because I emailed like 2 people and they're like, this is from freshman year, and I was like, okay. So that will be coming back whenever I send out that Instagram thing. I'm going to work with the CMC on that. So moving on to class council reports, seniors, take it away.
Yeah, so we went on a site visit to our formal location. That looks great, so we're gonna hopefully get that finalized this week and then send the contract off to be signed by the people. What else? We've got all our events now in Hopkins group, so we have a definitive timeline kind of going through, and we're getting, the event spaces, all that. And we got in contact with a couple of people who we were having trouble, venues that we were having trouble getting in contact with, so we're generally just pretty happy with how things are going. One thing I'm just going to bring up, which isn't really senior class council related, but I think I was contacted because I'm senior class pres, so we're going to use that as my in to use it in this report. There will be a point today we're going to recess this motion for like 2 minutes because civic engagement needs to meet for a resolution on supporting a demonstration that's going to happen on Saturday for Ukrainian refugees. I would just encourage everyone to vote for that, just so that can be reviewed and then added to the agenda. But it has a really quick turnaround time, which is why it has to be up for this meeting. With that, I yield.
Alrighty, moving on to junior class president. Take it away.
Yeah, we just met today, but we're nailing down some more details for the formal. Right now we have the tent contracts. We have like contracts for all of our things like decorations, DJ, etc. Now we're just working on trying to get those into the system and signing all the contracts, which I'll be working with my advisor tomorrow. And then that's for the formal, and then China is working on the paintball event, which she's hoping to have 2 weeks from now. But backup, what's it called? What am I trying to say? Backup date is first week of April, so we're figuring that out this week. And I think that's all of it, yeah. Oh, and big shout out to Sophie because she's been doing a lot of the stuff for the formal.
Nice. Alrighty, moving on to sophomores. Take it away.
We are still struggling with some issues of budget, but about half of our decorations have arrived so far, and we also have some of the purchase requests for another event that we'll be having later in the semester. Yes.
Alrighty, and freshmen.
This Thursday, speaker event with Dr. Young. Everything's set for that. And then we have our venue and event request done for the big event, and more details to come. Oh, and we have a class email that will be going out soon.
Good. Don't forget to send that to Caroline
Yeah.
before it goes out. Y'all
Yeah.
got it. Alrighty. We're gonna go ahead and move on to committee reports. So academic affairs, go ahead.
Nothing much to report this week. We have a couple members working on a DEI initiative, and then we also appointed someone to the KSAS Academic Grievance Committee.
Civic engagement.
So we are going to be meeting with tomorrow at 9 a.m. at the CSC, and also what Nathan said about resolution with the Ukrainian.
Alrighty. And finance. Would someone like to report on behalf of finance? Anyone?
You know what I said.
Everything that Karen said. Health, safety, and sustainability.
Yeah, we met this past weekend. We're mostly working on the same projects, but we're also looking into partnering with a group to put like sanitary products in restrooms on campus. And I think that's all that we can do.
Just point of information, that was an initiative like 3-4 years ago, so if you want to look back in the drive, you'll find a lot of helpful stuff there.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And then moving on to IA.
We're working on the bylaw and the working so we mentioned.
Alrighty. And they'll be helping partially with the closed session later on. Student orgs.
Oh,
Alright,
sorry.
so-
We approved 24 re-registrations, and then we had a working meeting to review the SAC guidelines. Nothing much. Oh, and I met with a prospective organization. Nothing else to report.
Student services.
We had a pretty quick meeting last week. We just talked about some suggestions for like committee, like some projects that we can work on, and Peter made like 2 really good ones. One was like about like providing free metro cards, so it seems like Ellen's already working on that. And then getting like microwaves in public spaces. Yeah, and we're also still working on like that survey that we were planning to send out on to gather like just like people's opinions on what they want student services to do.
Alrighty, that sounds all very good. Caucus reports. We're going to start with the APITA caucus.
So we had our first meeting with the leaders of the APIA vote. So that was good, and we are going to be scheduling a meeting with our regional regional lead at 9 later this month.
Alrighty, and Black Caucus. Does somebody want to report on behalf of the Black Caucus? Go ahead.
We didn't have a meeting this week, but within the next week, we should have our Instagram account up and running.
Nice, sounds good. Disability Caucus.
So we now have a meeting scheduled with Disability Services for March 4th and 2 p.m., if I remember the exact times correctly. As always, my head's a little scrambled. And at that meeting, we plan to discuss some of the projects that we're hoping to get off the ground in the beginning of the caucus, as well as just some mix of grievances and kind of establishing a working relationship with SDS, because it's important for both parties to understand where we are. Beyond that, it's just very much kind of in the flow. Now that we're in a new month, we will also be scheduling another meeting soon.
Alright, WGMC. Oh, someone want to update on behalf. Thank you.
Yeah. So as Mihek mentioned, we're working on the OIE Student Conduct Forum, and we plan to meet with Jessica Oros for it.
Alright, that sounds good. Update on the Hispanic and Latinx caucus. After student involvement fair, we had enough interest to possibly restart that, as long as I can get a couple of SGA members. So if you are interested, I will not be chairing it, but it's a good opportunity to get some leadership and represent Hispanic Latinx students at Hopkins. So talk to me after GBM. Moving on to the advisor report. Carolyn.
Yeah, so the Leadership Award nominations closed last night. We received over 200 nominations for all of our awards, which is,
Point of information.
Yes.
That was almost double what we had last
It
time.
was. We checked during our meeting earlier, so we're really excited about celebrating students. So some more information will be released to the nominees about that this week. I am getting final numbers on how many SGA award nominations have been received, so I'll share that information next week. And then the RSO forum is tomorrow, so there's a few lead staff members that are doing this alongside SGA. I'm excited for that engagement. And then for the exec, I'm not sure if y'all saw this email but everyone, I think, on campus received an email about the second iteration of the roadmap on diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're doing, I think, something like an event, a virtual event next Friday, the 11th. There's an email information. Mahek and I will probably forward that to you as well to make sure you have access to it. It would be great to have some representation in that conversation if that is a value and passion point of the Student Government Association, and just in general some good representation. Leadership Weekend happened this past weekend. Thank you to the folks who engaged in that process. Yes, we had a really good time. And I saw a few of our SGA folks represented there, so happy that y'all came out. That's all I got.
Alrighty, so now we can go ahead and move on to new business. Carol, do you know if the dining people are here?
No.
Okay, that's fun. We're gonna reorder this. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with SAC guidelines because it looks like we're waiting on them. Pardon me. So we're gonna go ahead and start off on SAC guidelines. I'll open this up here. Hopefully you guys already had a chance to review this. I know that finance has been working pretty hard on this. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to whoever is presenting since Obi is not here. You have 5 to 10 minutes. Take it away.
I don't know what technical supposed to do that, but in this
It's not a bill, so I think you're...
Okay, in this event, I guess I will be presenting. So, this currently is our SAC guidelines. As you can see, there's currently a lot of changes still ongoing on this guideline. So, I think with the changes that we talked about last meeting, I think the implementation process would be, I don't know if it's something that we could physically accomplish in this semester, and we need these guidelines to be approved by this meeting going forward, because groups will be able to start submitting their funding pretty much as soon as this meeting is over. So we need to have some sort of confirmed guidelines, and I think these changes that we were talking about is something that can be slowly implemented, and it doesn't have to be all at once sort of thing, because with all these changes comes a lot of like different ways of like going about like the funding process and different rules we have to follow and like different like adjustments we have to make. And I think if we did this all at once, it would be kind of a lot and probably a lot more confusing for the groups. Okay, and then so if we look at this, so I'll just start from the top, I guess. So you guys can probably see this is the 2022 to 2023 guidelines. The semester allocation is still done the same. So for the spring, we review the budgets groups submit for their fall budget, and it's the same for fall to spring. And then monthly grants are still the same. We review them every single week. And these are grants for unexpected costs and new initiatives. And for those monthly grants, it's any SGA recognized group is eligible, and for semester grants, it's any SGA group that does not get funding from another annual source. And then moving on to budget caps. So we currently still have the budget caps in place. So these are the max that a group could possibly get in a year. This is just a maximum. It's not. We never like actually like fund up to the caps. It's just like a general like guideline, and it's really based on like what's a reasonable amount for the event they're putting on actually. And then so as you can see, the independent contractor guideline and professional services. To be honest, I think the independent contractor and the professional services are kind of, I guess, very intertwined. They're very similar in a way. It's all like contracting for like some sort of service. And then we have the non-reusable, non-prize item caps, which is like single-use goods, and I guess like paper plates and stuff like that, stuff that can't be used again. And then we have like prize items. This was mainly implemented during COVID because we were all online, and this was like a good way for like groups to be able to like get more attendance at their events and like be able to like organize their events. And that's why we still kind of have it right now. And I guess it's kind of groups have, I guess, groups think it's useful, so I think that's also why we still have it. And then we have the reusable items, supplies, equipment cap. So these are things that are like costumes, things that can be reused multiple years in a row. And then the reason for those strictly religious items, I think it's because, Carolyn, correct me if I'm wrong, but Calvin said it was, I think, because of a school policy that we can't fund like strictly religious items.
It's because we're not.
I think it has to be.
No, I think it's the tax thing. So
Yeah,
that's where
it
you-
would be tax thing, but that's why. So it's not like anything from like our end of that for religious items specifically, but we still can fund like speaking events. So stuff like that. And then we have a storage location. We require that students store like the items on campus just so like if it's reused so that future people from their organization can use it. And then food is currently at an annual cap of 1,000. Food is usually used for events where it's like integral. So like if a culture club is having like a food making night that's like open to all of pockets, that would be like an event where like food is like integral to their event rather than if student groups are having a GBM and they just want to do that GBM. I think that like they can still have the GBM without the food and that's like not really like I guess like super necessary for the event or to create a better like atmosphere. And then we have registration fees, so this is for like competitions, for competition groups, and then we have travel. So this is just like to go to other places, like if they want to, I don't know, go on a trip somewhere, some trip to DC or something for some specific purpose, like visiting a museum. I'm not sure. Sorry, I can't think of an example. This is like part of the travel thing, or if they needed to like go somewhere for a specific event. The interscholastic competition groups are really created because we have, I think, 5 or 6 groups that are mainly competition-based groups, like debate, mock trial, that are moving under us next semester. And because these groups are coming from the Dean of Student Life, they traditionally have a lot of funding. So we were told that the funding could potentially, or some of the funding would be moving with them, but that their level of funding would be slightly different from our other groups, and that we would have to consider for that because they are like mainly like competition-based groups. So that's why the interscholastic competition groups is there. And then we have the printing and advertising cap. This was made for like groups that are primarily like journal-based groups, like Triple Helix, or magazines, stuff like that, for like print-based groups. And then the pricing is just all the pricing information that we've gotten from the lead office and like other campus partners for like general like security services and all that stuff, which we personally don't have any control. That is my general spiel for this.
Alrighty, so hopefully everybody had a chance to look through that. I see that we have a lot of comments here on the side. Good. So if anybody would like to motion for a moderated caucus, friendly amendment, whatever you'd like, feel free. Now is your chance. I will recognize anyone on the floor. So can I get a second?
Second.
Alrighty, I'm pulling up the speakers list. All in favor of moving into a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, we're now on a 10-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking time, starting with Subo. Please raise your hand or placard if you would like to be added.
I don't really have anything specific to comment. I think people are just all in the comments picking on the job, but I'm just saying, like, what's the best way to address all of these? Like, if we want to just take a moment for Bill Reddish to just go through it, or whatever, because there's a lot.
Okay. Jackson is next on the speakers list.
Yeah, I still think I'm in favor of having a soft and like a hard cap system, where we would have like maybe like 2 different ways, like maybe like groups that we've like worked with a lot, groups that we know that we throw together like big events and stuff like that. We could kind of reward them in future funding years by giving them a larger cap than other groups, while keeping like a lower cap for the rest of the groups, or maybe groups that are receiving funding for the first time. And that might make it easier to apportionate the way that we do funding for finance, as well as other groups, just because they would be able to work with smaller numbers and better expectations for like the bigger groups.
Alrighty, moving on to Peter. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to dive into more of the traveling section of this document in terms of the guidelines produced. I believe an annual cap of $1,500 and that's $150 per person for the group is really not enough for student organizations at Hopkins to go out and compete effectively and competitively. Just thinking at a cost of maybe like the Model UN team to attend the conferences, this budget is definitely not enough for it to compete on a regular basis and actually be qualified for ranking. In terms of just looking at other North American universities in general. And the same thing goes with other traveling sports teams, especially like club teams. We also have a regular competition around the Hopkins area in which they might need to maybe book a hotel room for a night or even host events at our camp or travel somewhere else in terms of like providing the cars and resources to get there. So I think maybe consideration of expanding that budget for traveling and competitive clubs is necessary.
Do you yield your time?
Yeah, I yield my time.
Alrighty, Karen, would you like to respond?
Yeah, so clubs and sports teams actually aren't funded under us. They're under athletics, so we don't really have anything to do with them. And for like the
20 seconds.
I think you were saying for like
20 seconds.
For like the Hotline and like debate, that's why we were trying to account for them in this like interscholastic competition, because we were trying to make it so that like we at least give enough funding for like minimum number of members to attend, plus like 2, so they have like, I guess, like a buffer room.
Alright, that works.
Yeah, alternates. Yeah, so for them to attend. And
Karen.
like, and if they make it to like the bigger
Time's expired. Do you want me to add you back to the speakers list after? Okay. Nathan?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. So first off, I just wanted to hear what the justification was for putting royalties under non-reusable, non-prize items, just because I feel like those typically cost more. And I just wanted to hear more about what the thinking is there. And the other thing, I was hoping you could outline a little bit more, like why these need to be approved today, because I'm just thinking out loud here, like this is the biggest thing we do, and so being kind of forced to approve something the same day it comes up, I'm like concerned about. So I'm going to yield to Karen.
Karen, you have about 40 seconds to
okay.
respond.
Royalties, I did not even notice were on here. Were they after?
I don't know. I just noticed it this time.
Okay, well, that's interesting. And then for like the approval, technically it was supposed to be approved last week because we want to give groups enough time to like, apply. We usually try to give them a month so we can submit it. But I will default to Carolyn and see, is it possible to do the deadline? Because we also need time to review it before the summer hits, because we want groups to have a budget by next year, and I don't think it's necessary to do it. Because we already did this over intercession where we met like 3 times a week for multiple hours on time for like people to meet over the summer. Just know how to use that to people. I will default to that.
Yeah, you can make as many official amendments as you want in this meeting before you approve it.
Beautiful.
All right, time's up. I am next on the speakers list. So seeing the very, very large number of comments here on the side, I think maybe it'd be a good idea to take a short recess and go ahead and do the amendments. This is a personal idea so that we can talk it out. We could also do friendly amendments throughout the rest of the meeting just to cover all of the points that are here on the side, because like Nathan said, this is like one of the biggest things that we do. Totally don't have to do that. It's just a suggestion. I just want to say I really appreciate the information put into here and the explanation behind most of the stuff that's been added. So shout out to SAC and like finance. I know you guys worked really hard on these. So that was mine. I'm going to yield my time to Karen. If Karen wants to answer any of the previous things, you have about 40 seconds. Anything previously, if you would like to accept, because I know you got cut off earlier.
I guess to finish my comment for, I think, for Peter's comment, sorry, that's kind of why we have this new category. I guess, like, we're not really sure exactly how to go about, like, creating like a more like separate category so that all their needs can be met, and definitely would appreciate like, especially if you're on like one of these groups, like if you could like enlighten us on like what like the minimum requirement will be, or like the best way to fund these groups so that their needs are also applicable.
Pritika's next.
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions. First, we went through in finance yesterday like all of, or like a lot of these at least comments and voted on them. Was that, why did we like, I'm sorry, I might have forgotten. What was the reason for not like accepting or declining during the meeting?
I would have to yield to Obi because I was not.
Oh, okay, so I don't remember exactly why we didn't accept them, but I see in the notes, it says why we didn't. Ryan, do you remember you were there, right? You were reading the notes.
What was the question?
Do you remember why we didn't accept or deny things
Plan.
during finance meeting? Because we went through like how like a lot of these.
We have to wait for this to occur. You yield your time to someone?
Who knows?
Does nobody know? Anyone from finance willing?
Okay, so I remember a few of them that we did, but I don't remember all of them. What my question is like why is it not like updated? And then my second question is I don't think we should rush through this either this meeting. Like I think we should take our time with it, and there are a lot of these comments, so that's just my
Yeah, so Opie said that the SAC guidelines, we weren't going to vote on it today because there were certain things regarding, that's what she said, yeah. There were
Okay.
certain things regarding finances that need to be clarified before we could pass it.
Oh, I was told, Obi was like, can you put this on the agenda? And then she was like, I'm not going to be here to present. So in that case, this is a presentation on the SAC guidelines. Feel free to give your input to finance. The person who's supposed to present it isn't here,
Point
so.
of information,
Yeah.
Carolyn, can you clarify, it sounds like we need these approved today.
I think you do.
Okay.
There are people waiting for this.
So.
I'm going
I
to text
believe we are
Obi.
voting on these.
Wait, point of information. Who's waiting and why can't we get another?
Yield to Karen.
Yield to Karen.
Student groups, because we're supposed to have these open, well, we were supposed to have them open today, so.
Can we wait a week?
Are you point of informationing?
No, I was.
Adding to the speakers
I
list?
feel like I have a-
Okay, we have 1 minute left in the moderated caucus, so we can take one more speaker, and then if we want to let the moderated caucus end, we can motion.
Information, if it's SAC guidelines, isn't this something that can be passed internally by student boards? I thought that's.
No, it has to be confirmed by the General Senate after Student Arts has approved it. We could motion for a friendly amendment or a recess after this, keep that open. Jackson, I saw you want to be the last speaker, you are good to go.
I just wanted to say, like, I think that honestly we should make at least as many of the amendments that we can today, at least on like big picture stuff, because at the end of the day, there's probably going to be any number of like smaller things that we can probably tweak throughout, like, just going through stuff, but the big things that groups need, like the big like caps and stuff like that, the big things about like what we're gonna fund, we probably do need to get out the door, because like, as we know from last week, the meetings on this kind of stuff can take a really long time. And I feel like if we just put it off till next week, then next week we'll have another reason why we can't pass it that week. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of a Band-Aid to rip off. It's not gonna be something that's gonna be just like perfect. At the end of the day, it's always going to be kind of a building process. So I would say I'm in favor of getting it done now instead of just pushing it off internally.
Alrighty, our moderated caucus is now expired. I can get a motion to extend, a motion for anything else. I saw Kara's hand first.
Motion to extend the moderated caucus for 3 more minutes. Oh, you want to?
Oh, I recognize Kaya. You can withdraw your motion or continue what you were saying.
Motion for a 3-minute recess.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Is it 3 or 5 minutes?
5 minutes.
Motion for a 5-minute recess. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor of going into a 5-minute recess, please say aye. You don't have to.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Wait 1 second until we get it approved. Alrighty, we are now in a 5-minute recess. Please be back by 7:40 p.m. Holy shit. Sorry, I'm living up. You're fine. You're fine.
They're going to read you like the specific part of the
So I just went through the bylaws really quickly on my phone, and if we don't write it as a bill, we do it vote to confirm the proposed staff guidelines by student groups and finance. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. That's what I remember from last year and what I could really quickly find.
Because I couldn't find it.
That's what I was. Back to your seats. We're going to restart the meeting at this time. Again, this recess has now concluded. Please make your way back to your seats and cease all side conversations. So we've concluded the recess and we've concluded the moderated caucus. If anyone would like, we're going to wait for the live stream to come back up.
It's up.
Okay, if anybody would like to motion for anything such as another moderated caucus, a friendly amendment, anything like that, I am willing to take any suggestions. The floor is open. Kobe,
Motion to extend the recess,
by how many minutes?
5 minutes.
Motion for a new 5-minute recess. Seconded. All in favor of a 5-minute recess, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Abstaining?
Yeah.
Who else is abstaining?
No, wait, I meant to say
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call. We're gonna go ahead and do roll call. We need to practice doing this anyway. So, Elena, you ready for roll call? Alrighty.
Abstain.
Yay.
Yay.
Abstain.
Yay.
Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
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 Abstain.
G1.
Yes.
Karen doesn't vote, sorry.
You don't.
Aye.
Those two are gone. The 2 absences are abstentions, by the way.
Nay.
Yes.
Yay.
You don't vote yet.
Yay.
Alrighty, I believe that was a majority yeas, which means we are in a 5-minute recess. Again, please be back by 7:46. I caught it! You liked that? That nice little dive there? We will
I'm gonna
be
do a point
resuming
of
now.
information and tell y'all what.
Again, the recess has now concluded. Please make your way back to your seats and stop side conversations. And we're restarting the live stream. I want to see myself. It's gone. It's gone. 5-0. Alrighty, again, the recess has now concluded. Please make your way back to your seats. Can I get a motion for anything? We don't need that, but thank you. I appreciate it. Nathan.
Carolyn, can you emphasize kind of what the Parley Pro is at this point?
For coming back to the meeting?
I don't, wait, aren't we done with recess?
Recess is over.
Point of information. Could we make like a list of the amendments that people are planning to propose, and maybe we could go through them one by one if we're gonna vote on each of them.
Point of information directed to Carolyn. What are some of our potential options for moving on from this
Yes,
point?
your options this evening, so you can wait to pass this piece of legislation. If you decide to wait and table this, the conversations need to happen throughout the week, and by Brianna's deadline of what she needs for next week's agenda.
Sunday noon.
Submitted before then. And any conversations that you need to have in depth can happen offline, not during the GBM, so that it can be prepared to vote on next week.
Point of information.
Are there any other, really quickly, any other methods that you want to share, Parley Pro or anything? No? If not, it's fine. Just covering all the bases.
So if y'all decide to have the conversation today, the Parley Pro should include the language as it currently stands in the document and the proposal of what you would like to change said language to, and that has to be explicit for the person who is making the motion. There will be a vote. If the vote is not unanimous, then a conversation, moderated caucus situation is on the table to happen.
Alrighty. Kobe.
I remember we did this over a couple, what are the rules for like an emergency non-GBN SGA?
We have to have quorum for it, and I think we just have to motion for a an emergency GBM meeting to pass legislation as long as we have quorum. But I don't think that would be a good idea personally for this, because I want more people to be present, because SAC guidelines are a really big thing.
Sorry. Motion for a 5-minute moderated caucus where we go through each of the comments that are contentious, that are listed on the side, with 1 minute speech.
I don't know how it would work in a moderated caucus setting. Point of information, Carolyn, is there a better Robert's rules to go through a list of comments? I believe Nathan mentioned that there's Robert's rules. You can do motion for friendly amendment with discussion, but we couldn't find the exact language.
Yes.
I'm clarifying. Pritika's motion is still on the table, so I'm clarifying that.
So you're asking about whether moderated.
Is there a better motion to do to go through for Pritika's idea? Pause 1 sec.
So if there's a discussion, then the moderated caucus should happen, but if there are motions to just change, to amend things, those can happen on their own. You don't need a moderated
Alrighty.
caucus for that.
Pritika, is your motion still on the table for a 5-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times?
Sorry, I missed
Basically the moderated caucus, we can't pass the amendments during the moderated caucus. We would have to go through the moderated caucus and then go back and do friendly amendment for each item.
So what is
Nathan, point of information. Nathan, did you figure out the language for that Parley Pro procedure?
So basically, we can motion to amend any of the things of this document. We would be amending the
Side
original.
conversations to a minimum, please.
So we would be motioning the original. So what Carolyn said is what it would sound like, right? So if you're adding something on, you're motioning to addend the document with the following language. We would then see if that motion gets seconded. We can have some kind of discussion on that motion, which is then voted upon. That I think would be more efficient than a moderated caucus. That being said, there are a lot of amendments here, so it also might be easier if finance goes through and has more of a thing, and that we then.
Okay, that concludes the point of information.
Point of information. So finance did go through it, and we came to the conclusion. These are not my words, but we came to the conclusion that the current, as it stands right now, that is what we agree with. We liked the ones that we liked, and we didn't or like accepted the changes that we accepted and didn't accept the other changes. So all of the other ones, we don't agree with and we'll need more clarification.
Okay.
Understandable.
Motion for,
Pradika's motion is still on the table.
Wait, I'll take that back.
You withdraw your motion? Okay, got it. Raj,
motion for a 5-minute presentation on behalf of finance indicating
that is not a motion, sir.
Okay.
But good try.
Motion to amend the policy changes point to add on the second bullet, starting at the beginning of the university's 2022-2023 fiscal year, July 1st, 2022.
So the first comment right here, point of information. Point of information,
It was
we're,
seconded.
got it?
Yep.
Alrighty, all in favor of accepting this friendly, I think for a friendly amendment, we don't have to vote on it, you just,
So, point of order, so it's only a friendly amendment if not a single person objects and the bill writer agrees with it.
All right.
Otherwise, it becomes hostile, we just have
and we have to vote on it. Alright, Bill, go ahead.
Oh,
Point of information.
the, be here to accept it then?
It's not a bill, so who knows?
Does the legislation writer accept this friendly amendment?
Annual finance.
Generally finance.
Annual finance.
It's not.
Point of information, who would the bill writer be in this situation? This was a team effort.
Yeah, the chair.
Chair is not here.
Who's the co-chair?
Can we have Karen be the representative?
Yeah, there's not a vice chair?
No, we don't.
No,
have
because it's finance, it's co-chairs.
Finance, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Karen, do you accept this amendment as a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Everyone in favor of passing this amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, this amendment is passed. Karen, you can confirm the edit. Can I get another motion?
Motion to repeat the same thing for the next comment. Point of order, that's not a.
That's not a motion, but good try. Again, I like the creative motions we have going on. Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to add Sophie's the.
Okay, motion for a grammatical amendment for there. Bill writer, do you accept this friendly amendment?
Karen, say yes. Say yes.
The word the, do you accept the friendly amendment?
It's just.
Karen,
Point of information, you do not need to amend grammatical errors.
Okay.
beautiful. We can skip all the grammatical errors.
Grammatical errors that don't have an effect on the
Meaning.
of the statement.
Thank gosh. Okay, so would you like to withdraw your motion in that
I
case?
would like to withdraw.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
No. So,
Nathan, I recognize you.
thank you. Sorry.
You're fine.
Going through. Next amendment, motion to amend the budget caps language to include after academic year without their request being escalated to the SGA Senate if the SAC or a SGA senator deems the request to have merit.
So underneath annual allocations, maximums, budget caps, it is the edit right here in blue, if I am correct. Point of information,
Right, I think I skipped past one, but,
it is that edit. Point of information, it is that edit, correct?
yes.
Alrighty. Bill writer, do you accept the friendly amendment? We're on the top of the fourth page.
No, I removed my one suggestion.
Okay. What do we do if the bill writer doesn't answer?
Point of clarification, what does that mean?
So a cap can be overridden if the SAC or a senator basically wants SGA to consider it.
What is the process?
Point of information. Karen, ask your question.
Yeah, what's
So there's an outline process for SAC, for SGA considering SAC decisions. I can include in the language that it would follow the same process, if that would be clearer for people. Yeah.
Alrighty, so we have a motion
So I'll
on the,
withdraw my motion and I'll
thank you.
motion for at the end of semesterly budget allocations, the addition of a new bullet point that says, starting with the spring 2023 semester, groups are not eligible for a SAC semesterly allocation if they have not had a documented fundraising event for their organization in the prior semester.
Can you tell me what page that's on?
That is, I don't know how to do pages.
Point of,
It's right above
Page
expectations.
2,
Okay.
middle.
thank you. Page 2.
Right above expectations.
Oh God. There we go, I see. So this last bullet point of information, this is the correct bullet point that we are amending right here. Alrighty, Bill Ryder, do you accept this friendly amendment? I don't know how long the time limit is for your response.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, it has become an unfriendly amendment at this point. Would you like to withdraw your motion?
No, I'm gonna motion for the same amendment.
Okay,
Can we discuss, or do we just vote without?
we have to motion for a moderated caucus or a Q&A.
Okay, point of order. What we could do is we can motion, we can. have a
Guys,
second.
point of order, please
We can
listen.
then, after the second, have a discussion on the motion. After the discussion concludes, at the discretion of the chair, we can then move into voting on that motion. We just can't vote on any additional motions or do any other motions until we resolve the motion that's currently on the table.
Okay, beautiful. So we can go ahead and have a discussion on this motion. I'm going to run it based on moderated caucusing. So raise your hand if you would like to be added to the speaker list on the discussion for the motion to edit the bullet point above of expectations.
Point of order, maybe we vote to start moderating caucus.
This isn't a moderated caucus. This is discussion on an amendment. Grace?
Is that how we're doing it? Can I be the first speaker?
Yes, you're the first speaker.
Okay, basically, this was under CSO, just general, our general feelings about this is that we want students to not just rely on staff, or finance, or SGA, or the school in general to be their only only source of funding. A lot of these organizations are doing a lot of things, and some of those things may be internal, and therefore we do not have the bandwidth to try to fund every single thing that these organizations want to do, regardless if they have merit or not. They should have merit, but that's not something that we're talking about right now. Basically, we want to make sure that these people are also thinking about having fundraising events for their organizations and have that demonstrated in the prior semester before receiving an annual allocation from us. I think that Obi said that this might be a little redundant, but the thing is we want to promote this as the general concept. We're not saying that you need to fundraise a certain amount. You just need to demonstrate that you understand that you yourself are also responsible for your organization's funding and not everyone else.
All right, Ryan, you're next.
So in our finance meeting, we discussed two things about this point. The first was, or about this amendment. The first was that there are many small groups that request sub like $100 funding, and it would be not necessary to ask them to fundraise, or we didn't believe that it would be. The second is because fundraising event is very loosely defined, and so we weren't sure how that would be judged. And yeah.
Do you yield your time?
Yes, I yield the remaining.
All right, Karen.
And also, I like the concept, but I'm not sure how this would be tracked and what exactly a documented fundraising event would be necessarily, and the procedures of that.
Do you yield your time?
Yes, we do.
Nathan.
Yeah, so we could addend to the budget request form and just have them attach proof of the fundraising event. So just like in that form that they're using to submit, we can just have them like, the way that they do with CAP is like, take a photo of your fundraising event or show that it was in conference groups or literally any kind of screenshot, just as one of the required fields for the budget request. So it wouldn't put any additional burden on staff.
Do you yield your time?
Yes, I yield my time.
All right, Nathan. Nope, Pritika.
Another question about this. How far in advance of their request for an allocation does it need to be, like, does the fundraising event need to happen? Like, if they're requesting for, let's say, an event that they have in April, they're requesting $500, but then they're also requesting $600 for another event that they have at the beginning of May. Does that mean 2 fundraising events or just one, like, for the whole semester? Yield to Nathan.
No, it's fine. I yield to back to Pritika and ask her to summarize.
Okay, so if they have to do a fundraising event, my question is, do you have to do one for every SAC request that you make, or is it one for the whole semester?
It's just for semesterly funding, so it would just be one per semester.
All right, your time has expired. We're moving on to Jackson, Talia, and I'm closing the discussion after that.
I think this is a good idea, and I think that it's good to have like fundraising like goals and whatnot, and it might be good to like kind of like reward organizations by like, I don't know, like helping like match funding or something. I think that's something that we brought up. Like if they fundraise, like past a certain amount or something. But I feel like having like a limit that it's like you can't, like, we'll just pull, like, funding or whatnot, without having, like, a clear, like, apparatus for how we plan to do it. I know that it's all the way into spring 2023, so obviously by then we could have something, but I feel like before we put out something like that might make groups like, oh, like SGA is like doing this big thing that could pull your funding completely. I feel like we want to have a better idea of how we're going to proctor that.
Understandable.
I yield the rest of my
I
time.
can point of order, the request would just be denied. Like, that's what we can just do.
Got it.
All right, Talia is the last person for the discussion, and then we will move into voting, unless Talia would like to remove themselves from the speaker
I would
list.
like to remove myself because I was going to answer this question.
Alrighty, beautiful. Then in that case, we have time for one more, so I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I like the idea, like, I think we should, like, be encouraging to fundraise, but I do think it just, like, it's not perfect because it might just get its wrong roots from, like, ever getting any funding at all. And I guess
Yeah, I was just gonna say, CSO right now is considering proposals to take our small groups and make them just operate off of monthly grants. So I believe that that proposal would address the concerns that are being raised.
We have about 20 seconds left if you want to yield your time to anybody who has their hands up, because there's like four
Okay,
people.
Yeah, I'll yield to Beta. Let's do that one.
Yeah, I just want to say that I'd also be in favor of this, but one thing we could do is maybe any group that requests over a certain amount in funding would have to do the fundraiser, while any group that does below, like say like the $100, wouldn't really need to do that because they're requesting a very little amount.
Alrighty, well, that concludes our discussion on this amendment. We are now going to move into voting on this amendment, but before I do that, I'm going to ask the bill right point.
Can we extend the discussion? Motion to extend.
There isn't a time on the discussion.
There isn't a time on the discussion, but I have put an arbitrary time in place based on the fact that our meeting has a generally set end time and we have a lot to get through. So I've been limiting it to 5 minutes per discussion per amendment, but if you guys would like to extend, totally feel free. So motion to extend the discussion?
Just like for a couple of seconds.
Okay, technically we can't motion instead of motion, so I will take that under consideration and I will extend it until I feel like it. Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I like what Beta said, that we can have like, I guess like a distinction between like larger groups versus like groups are only requesting $100. And also, I also agree with Jackie's point that it might be like a little bit harsh to say that we completely pull their funding. Like, I do like that, yeah, and I do think we should fundraise, but I also think it might be a little harsh. That's my
Jackson, and then Nathan, and then Grace.
Can I withdraw the motion and bring motion to amend with the following language that goes greater than $500? Everything is exactly the same.
Okay, motion has been withdrawn. Is there any new motions on the table?
So there is a motion to amend
Great.
the language shown, so starting with the spring 2023 semester, groups are not eligible for SAC semesterly allocation greater than $500 if they have not had a documented fundraising event for their organization in the prior semester.
Alrighty, Bill Ryder, do you accept this friendly amendment? You don't have to, it's fine. No pressure. We can also have another discussion. I'm gonna, Bill,
Technically, we can just go straight into voting.
correct, but the Bill Ryder, but it's still friendly, so we don't have to vote yet.
No, we don't, because I motioned just for an amendment. We can just go. Like, we can fully, if it's been seconded,
Okay.
we can just start voting.
So you amended the motion that was already unfriendly. Alright, point?
Could we finish the speakers list?
I did not motion for a friendly amendment, so it doesn't, I don't need the bill writer's permission.
Okay, we had one more person on the speakers list from the prior discussion, but technically that motion was withdrawn, so you are no longer on the speakers list. Point of information, Carolyn, how is the discussion structured on amendments like this? Because I don't have a speakers list, a time limit, or any of that. And I couldn't find anything online for Parley Pro. Do you have any idea? If not, it's fine. We will follow the rules.
Point of order, I think it's just gonna be chair discretion.
Okay,
So-
haha, I have power. Okay, cool. I'm going to allow 3 speakers to discuss this new amendment because I know there's a few people who didn't get a chance to talk. If you would like to be added to the speakers list, you will have 30 seconds to speak and you will be one of 3 speakers before we move into voting procedure on this amendment, which is not a friendly amendment and it needs voting. So please raise your hand. Jackson.
I was gonna say, could we maybe like say like, instead of just like fundraising event, could we say like, you could have like different avenues of fundraising, like maybe you just like sell something like a group event, or like maybe you partner with another, like you could partner with other groups to fundraise for both groups.
Point of information, that still counts as a fundraising event. They're all under that umbrella.
But I feel like having that more, because like I feel like when you see the word fundraising event, especially if you're like a club that has like what, like 15, 20 people, I know the $500 like makes it easier or whatnot, but like if you request anything over 500, since it becomes that, I feel like just having a better like identification of what opportunities exist for fundraising, I feel like would help groups feel like more like, okay, yeah, we can do this.
Do you want to yield to the person who's motioning for the amendment?
Yes, I'll yield to whoever.
Will you accept that or no?
I was working on another amendment.
Oh my God. Basically, will you change the language from fundraising event to something more specific? Because sometimes people might be intimidated by fundraising event. Did I cover that?
To do that, I would have to withdraw the motion and re-amend. I don't think people are reading it this closely.
Correct. Great. Pretty good.
Okay, so this is another kind of issue I think with like just throwing this in there is we don't really have like what a documented fundraiser means written out. Does this mean that you have to go sit on the beach or in a public location and fundraise? Does this mean you can sit in your bedroom and post a picture on Instagram and say like, please give me some money? Like, what does this mean? And how many people need to be involved in this? I think all of this needs to be fleshed out a little bit more, because otherwise it's just going to turn into like another bureaucratic hassle. People are just going to attach a form saying, I was on the beach for, an hour and nobody showed up and I didn't get any money. Like,
You can yield your time if you would like.
How do you distinguish between that versus someone who is actually putting in the effort and actually doing the fundraiser?
So I was just gonna say, I think SAC can do that by the way that they make all the other subjective decisions that they make, right? So make a determination, just like you're making any other budget request.
But the issue is we can't be there all the time. Like we can't go to the beach and
No, so I'm saying
check in,
like, look at whatever they submit. Do you
No,
agree
like,
with
what are
it?
they gonna submit? Are they gonna submit
Hopkins
pictures
Group's
or?
event or something like that.
No, but I mean.
This is a discussion. Please respect the
You can
time.
make the Hopkins Group event and not be there for it, you know?
That's fine. I mean,
But
if
as long as
SAC,
they have good intention.
just point of information, if SAC wants to amend the or amend these guidelines at any other point, they're welcome to, but I think this is a good first step.
That's a valid point. We can always change these later. Chinette is the last person on the speakers list before we move into voting.
I think that we allocated, like, for new business, allocated half an hour, and we've already been discussing this topic for already more than half an hour. I think that honestly is the responsibility of SAC and the people to really sort this out, because sitting from this perspective, I can see almost everybody's screens, and frankly, I can recognize that a lot of people are not necessarily concentrated on the matter at hand, and so I think for the respect of the majority of the senators, we should really, table this and allow, rather end the meeting earlier, right, and allow for the individual conversation to take place, rather than having to take up Senate's time.
We are under a current motion. There are no more discussions. We are going to vote on this amendment, and then if someone would like to motion for another amendment, or a motion to table this, or a motion to do whatever the heck they want, they are free to. I'm going to conclude the discussion for this at the chair's discretion. We are going to move into, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify to Chinette's point, we did discuss all of these during finance, and finance is not in favor of like any of these amendments. So all of these, this fundraiser one, as well as the one that was at the top, a couple of these other ones, we are not in favor of these. We have discussed these outside. That's why we brought it to GBM, so we could discuss with CSO in person and have these conversations and have everyone's input. So if people are doing other things, then that's like not good. Like we shouldn't be doing that during GBM anyways. But we do need to have these discussions, and like Nathan's mentioned so many times before, this is where we have the most power, so we really need to be having this kind of talk.
Beautiful. We're now going to vote on this amendment. So, all in favor of passing the amendment as it is written right here that was proposed by Nathan, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Again, please do not abstain unless it is your absolute last resort. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead into roll call.
Nay.
Yay.
Nay.
Yay.
Nay.
Kobe,
Nay.
Yay.
please speak up, by the way.
Nay.
Nay. Nay.
Yay.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Elena?
Nay.
Oh, not as a vote. Can you tell me the total? For yays and nays?
I'm pretty sure that nays.
I'm pretty sure nays have it, but we're supposed to have if it is. What?
17 nays.
How many ayes?
Whatever the.
Whatever, how many people here. Okay, nays have it. This friendly amendment has been rejected. Or unfriendly amendment has been rejected. Chinette, I saw your hand first.
Yes, I believe that,
What are you motioning for?
motion to table the bill because I think that CSO and finance should have a joint meeting together.
What?
Seconded.
Point of information?
The thoughts should not be included in the motion, just the motion.
Yeah, thank you. For point
Motion
of
to
order.
table the bill.
Seconded.
All in favor of tabling this bill at this time until how long? Until next meeting?
Until next meeting.
Until next meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Alrighty, we're doing a roll call again. Newsletter, you're doing great. What?
Is it simple majority?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's simple majority and we have to do roll call for it, so.
Wait, I don't understand. Is there a way that, like, so again, like, if we wanted to schedule. a
That
meeting-
would technically be the next GBM, so if we postpone until the next GBM, that would work.
If we wanted to schedule an emergency meeting, then, like, everybody.
How are we gonna find time for everyone?
Guys, pause for 1 second, let the point of information happen. Have you been clarified?
Yeah.
Good? Okay, we're in voting procedure.
Abstain.
Yay.
Are we able to like on any comments that like finance, for instance, like has questions about, are we able to do like a Q&A with the writers of the comments, and anything else we can postpone for later? Just like a lot of these. Well,
Technically, we can have a Q&A on whatever we want, but currently we're considering a table. So if you want a motion for a Q&A, that will only be if this doesn't get tabled right now. Okay, we're gonna restart that again. Does anybody have any more point of information before we start roll call? Because we shouldn't interrupt roll call. Okay, and again, only abstain if you have a conflict of interest or some strong something. We want everybody to take a position.
I still abstain.
Yay.
Yay.
Speak up, please.
Nay.
Yay.
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 Yeah.
Nay.
Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Nay.
Yay.
Nay.
Yay.
Yay.
19 years.
And how many nays? I think that's majority. Alrighty, simple majority. Alright, SAC guidelines have been tabled until our next GBM meeting. Beautiful. Have fun with that, friendos. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next thing. Point of information, is dining coming? Alright. I'm going to request a motion to table the dining discussion because they are not here.
Motion to table the dining discussion.
Can I get a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, dining discussion has been tabled. Junior class senator confirmations. Mehek, that is technically under you. Hello, new junior class. So after your first meeting. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna have the junior class council president walk us through the process for picking a new member. And then we're going to have their choice, get voted on. I'll have you step out of the room while you're being voted on, and anyone voice any concerns or pros or cons or whatever you want. And then we are going, if they have been voted, we will go ahead and do confirmation. We have to approve their vote, right? Yes. I'm pretty sure. Okay.
No?
No?
You don't have to, there's no approving of the.
I didn't think so. My brain was stopping.
There's just
So,
confirmation.
yeah, you're just gonna go ahead and tell us how you went through. I yield my time to Talia.
Okay, so we had people apply online through campus groups. We reviewed the applications, and then we did a first round of interviews, narrowed it down to 2 applicants. Second round of interviews, and then scheduled a meeting and voted amongst the senators for the candidate.
Just a point of order, we are gonna need to vote to confirm. It's in the Constitution.
That's what I thought. Okay, I'm losing my mind here.
So, yeah, we have for everyone else.
We did that.
We did it for their year.
I don't think we got it already.
We're gonna follow the Constitution. I'm pretty sure we are supposed to vote on them. So you've described your process. Do you want to go ahead and give a brief description of yourself, nomination person?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name's Reed, econ major.
What are your passions?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I want to make a Minecraft server.
Yes.
Yeah, it's literally just
Yeah,
look at
hopefully I
the.
can just help out. However,
There we go.
I'm rated in event planning and anything else. Yeah.
All right, we're kicking you out. Leave the room, please. You'll come back. We're not gonna vote on you in front of you.
Point of order, you don't have to leave.
Yeah.
This isn't closed.
I know, no, but just when we're voting on things,
He can be here.
he can be here? Okay, I was doing it as a preference thing. Okay, you can stay. You wanna sit in this chair up
Once you get
front?
shut down, bro.
Feel free.
Motion to vote. Motion to confirm.
Point of information, I'm asking the heck a question. Pause for a second. Oh god, now it's really quiet.
So we're not. I think that's just for since they've decided.
It's about the conflict of interest stuff. It's just, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be able to voice concerns about potential people because there was an issue with that my freshman year. And I don't want people to be able to voicing concerns, but that's what we're thinking.
Then we need to move into closed session because we can't.
Okay, we're just gonna do, because if it's doing a confirmation, we'll just do people say yes or no, and then we can, if people say no, then we can postpone it later.
So who
we'll
has
just-
concerns?
It's just in case, it's just a procedural thing.
Yeah,
I know, I reread the Constitution when we were doing impeachment things, and I talked to people about it. So I'm just making sure we're following. I'm pretty sure we're just gonna vote and be fine, but in the future, I'm looking to that for next semester, or later this year, hopefully nobody else quits. Alrighty, sorry about that. Just clarifying things. So, thank you. Alrighty, so now that we've had the introduction of the candidate and we've had the explanation of why the candidate was picked, we're gonna go ahead and vote to approve the candidate to the junior class council senator position. So, can I get a motion to vote?
Motion to confirm Reed.
Second.
All in favor of moving into voting procedure?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in voting procedure. All in favor of approving the nomination or confirming the person? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, congrats. You're not done yet. You're not done yet. You're gonna raise the oath of office so you can stand up and look right there.
Put your hand on your
right hand up.
Yeah, this one up.
There you go, you got it.
And just repeat after me. I. Your name.
Oh, Reed Robin.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of junior class senator
the office of junior
Side
class
conversations to a
senator
minimum, please.
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the JHU Student Government Association.
the Constitution of the JHU Student Government Association.
You came in at a crazy meeting, good sir. Alrighty, stay a little bit after GBM and I will meet with you briefly, possibly with Elena, to get you up to date on things and stuff. Beautiful. Next agenda item. If it wants to load. It's gonna take its sweet time here. Alrighty, so now we have the Tuesday event report by freshman class president. Take it away, Ryan.
Yay! All right, we had a fun Tuesday, except it kind of rained on our outdoor event. So just like a brief overview, this shouldn't take long. It was gonna be like a trivia merch event with photo ops at the center of the quad, but due to the rain and because we kind of received the helium tank late, we have a lot of stuff being held in storage, so we can use that for like future events and stuff. Just some like stats, how much it costs, participants. Generally, it was a good event. Weather could have been better, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, we did have, so yeah, I think we're doing better as a council in terms of like group planning and stuff, and that's fun. In the future though, I think we'll aim for more like involved active participation events. So like we can save the tabling style stuff for like
Tabling style things.
Yeah. But you know, it was a good event. But that's all.
Alrighty.
Oh, also if you
Go ahead.
Sorry, if you scroll down, you can also see Dalhart's advertisement graphic.
I saw that. Alrighty.
I yield to
You don't have to yield. Your time's up.
Okay.
I
was
reckon.
just gonna add, like, I feel like we definitely also learned that preparation is key, and you shouldn't try to prepare your things like 20 minutes before the event.
That is a good takeaway.
Especially because, yeah, the weather was not great, which kept leading to like the balloons and stuff being blown. We had trouble setting up the banner, although we did figure it out. And I just feel like having more prep time probably would have helped, and maybe just like a bit more planning for inclement weather.
Alrighty, and I was super excited about this event. I like very specifically how on the event report it says Tuesday 2/2/2/2/2 12/2/2/2. That made me really happy.
Do we have the trivia doc? Can we attach that to this?
You can.
I feel like that's just a fun little memento.
We can motion for a moderated caucus, a Q&A, anything else. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to like add in terms of like our like preparation time for setting up the table. I do think we allocated enough time. We just didn't have enough people like pull through at the end, and then we did have a mix up with like levering where one of our packages was not the one we wanted. And these are kind of like last minute, hard to predict kind of like situations, which I think is what accounted for the sort of like, you know,
issues
like,
there.
Inconsistency and maybe just like disorganization in the beginning, but overall I feel like with the amount of people that came to set up versus the amount of running around we had to do, we pulled through pretty quickly.
Okay, beautiful, great. Do we have any motions on this item, or are we good to move on to the next item? Beautiful, we're gonna go ahead and move on to another event report. This one made by me, so I will be presenting it. I did make this at like midnight last night, so sorry if it's not great. Monthly tabling event report, because we should be making event reports on everything we do. So any event you have that serves the undergraduate populace or big important meetings you have with people should have a report. We already passed the funding for the tabling event, so you guys can see that. It was our normal monthly tabling event as per SGA guidelines. Again, I wasn't there, so I don't know the exact turnout. I only asked people in SGA how it was, and I asked my friends that went how it was. Takeaways, we had some issues getting supplies, so we did end up having to make a run to the Barnes & Noble. Thank you to the people who went. Was it you? Yeah, thanks to Mehek for running to Barnes & Noble and using our RI number. Shout out to her. If you guys do end up needing unexpected supplies, we do have an account with the Barnes & Noble, so feel free to take advantage of that. You can talk to Karen and Erica for that kind of situation. We have a list of feedback, so thank you for whoever compiled that list. I really recommend if you were not at the tabling event for the full time or you aren't sure of the feedback, please check it out. There are some really good ideas in there, and we got contacts for people, so we have a couple liaison moments here and there. People seem mostly satisfied based on the feedback that I got. I think we should make sure that we're acting on it, because it's good that we're being public facing and having people know that we're there to take input, but if we don't act on what they're telling us, and they're going to think we still do nothing. I think we should advertise it more. A lot of people did not know that it was happening, so just, you know, pushing that a little harder. And then also our Wednesday had better turnout than our Friday event. I think less people have on-campus classes on Friday, so keeping the event on Wednesday, and it seems like more of SGA could show up on Wednesday. It's just a more populated area. And thank you to everyone who came out to set up, and everyone who helped clean up, and everyone who ran it. Go SGA! I'm done. I yield my time to anyone else who wants to speak, or if anybody would like to make a motion on this, otherwise we'll move to the next item.
Motion to add to the agenda a resolution expressing student government support for Ukraine and victims of the Russia-Ukrainian crisis.
Second.
All in favor of adding this motion to the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Alrighty, this has been added to the agenda.
I'm dropping the link now.
Thank you, beautiful.
Oh, Kobe got it.
Kobe is on it. I'm gonna go ahead and open that so everybody can see it. Nathan, you have 5 to 10 minutes to introduce this.
Yeah, so just so people know why we're bringing this up now, there's a demonstration that's kind of cross-divisional, so it includes school of medicine, school of nursing, school of public health, GRO, and SGA has been asked. I'm providing like informal support, but basically to attach our logo to the event, we need to obviously agree to doing so. So we have this resolution that just basically does what it says. I mean, basically says we stand with Ukraine, gives solidarity, and that will just give me the ability to put our logo on the flyers and stuff. But again, this is right now a large working group with School of Medicine, School of Public Health, School of Nursing, and GRO. So I'm excited for this event. For everyone just to know, it's going to be Saturday at 12 likely on the beach, but the flyers should be, once they're finalized, it'll have the location information, but we need to have this done first. I'm happy to take any questions. I'm going to yield to Kobe because it looks like you might have something.
Another part of this resolution is asking for the university to release a statement regarding the crisis.
Actually, you should.
Yeah, I was going to say,
wait.
point of information, Kobe's technically the sponsor of the bill, so he should have been presenting
Yeah,
it, but that was,
so-
I misread it to start. Further point of information, many Hopkins students have come out and asked the university to make a statement. I saw people responding in the group chat to that. So we are representing student interest here. This isn't a random thing that was brought up. Thank you for the alarm. Perfect timing. Are you guys finished with your presentation?
I'm good, but I'm sorry.
Kobe?
Yeah, I totally just talked over Kobe.
Yeah, what Nathan said.
What Nathan said?
Yeah, just point of information, to be clear, this is Kobe's resolution.
Thank you.
I'm more involved with the planning of the demonstration.
Okay, thank you. I saw Pritika.
Second.
If you have a point of information, you can interrupt. Otherwise, I'm recognizing the motion to vote and the second.
Point of information. Is it possible to motion for like reading times to just give people time to read through something before we vote on it?
That's, since it was added to the agenda and we haven't had a chance, read really fast. That's the solution. Go ahead and speed read to it. Okay. Huh?
Point of information, I'm gonna speak really slowly, so if people want to be looking at it quickly, this is your moment to do so. I
Get to
don't know
the
what
point.
I'm gonna be saying, but I'm kinda just gonna keep talking until people look at me and feel comfortable proceeding, because we are in the middle of a motion and there is nothing we can do about that unless it's withdrawn.
Point of information.
Yes.
I agree with said point of information and think we should work on that.
Okay, I believe that is enough time. There is currently a motion on the table. All in favor of moving into voting procedure, please say aye.
Aye.
Whoa. I heard a point of information. Say it again. I don't know who said it.
Given that we just, introduced this just now, should we not discuss about this?
Dude, I recognize the voting procedure first. If you wanted to discuss, you gotta be faster. Was there another point of information over here? No? Okay. All in favor of moving into voting procedure, please say aye.
Aye.
If you want to discuss, you can say no to moving into voting procedure. All opposed to moving into voting procedure, please say nay.
Nay.
Alrighty, any abstentions? Again, if you vote down voting procedure, that means you can motion for a moderated caucus and then we can go back into voting procedure. Totally fine. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call. So if you would like to move into voting procedure, say aye. If you would like to not move into voting procedure and do something else, say nay. Otherwise, abstain. Roll call starting now. Please be silent during roll call.
Nay.
Yay.
Please speak up really loud. Elena's all the way in the back.
Aye.
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 Nay.
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 Guys, no side conversation. Shalala, please repeat that.
Aye.
Aye.
Juwon. Grace. Grace. Grace.
Nay.
Aye.
Suba.
Aye.
Nay.
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 Aye.
Nay.
Total.
9 ayes.
9?
Nays have it.
Nays have it. Okay, sorry, you said that backwards that time. Alrighty, so we are not in voting procedure. Are there any other motions on the table? Kyle.
Motion for a moderated caucus, 1 minute speaking time. Sorry, 1 minute.
You want to have a 5-minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times?
1 minute, 20 second speaking time. I yield my time to Kobe. What? Wait.
Let's say that one more time. You motion for a 1 minute moderated caucus with 20 second speaking times.
1 minute moderated caucus.
You want it to be bigger than that.
Okay.
Point of order, y'all. Be respectful of Kaya. She's motioning. Come on now.
Yeah, okay, fine. Motion for a 3 minute moderated caucus, 1 minute speaking time. I yield my
Can I
time.
have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We're now in a 3 minute moderated caucus with 1 minute speaking times. Kaya's first on the speakers list, then we have Peter
I yield my
and
time
Harvey.
to Kobe.
I yield my time to Peter.
There you go. Peter, go ahead, and then we have Harvey.
Alright, as an international student, I really do understand the stance in which we're taking and where we're trying to come from here. I do believe in the strong importance of humanitarian support. However, I am concerned about taking a political stance towards this issue. as a scholar in international relations and looking at international studies perspective, this conflict, this invasion, whatever you frame it, is indeed more complicated than something about just black and white, about just being autocracy versus a democracy. What I fear is that sole support for the Ukrainian population is indeed another way that isolates the Russian people in our community who didn't really make this decision to go to war with Ukraine. So what I would preferably see is an amendment in which we acknowledge that this wasn't a decision fully made by the Russian people, perhaps, to fully relate to how they are particularly feeling at the moment, and also may not necessarily condemn Russian actions totally in order to maintain we do have a neutral political stance in this issue.
Point of information, I just want to point out that this document, I don't think it mentions Russia anywhere, but besides the fact that it's listing the situation that's currently happening. It says here, the only therefore it be resolved. So the only thing this does is say that we support the aid of the victims, survivors, and refugees of Ukraine. So that's just a point of information there. Speakers list is full. So if you would like to be added afterwards, you have a point of information, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think Peter is talking about the condemning the invasion. So like he highlighted it down there, not the humanitarian.
The bottom part.
I believe that instead of framing it as invasion, we could condemn any violent actions that was taking place and make it more general as possible. I do understand we're trying to support the Ukrainian civilians. I do honestly believe that it's correct thing to do, but I think taking a political stance is unnecessary and may really drive division
10-second warning.
Community and the wider community as well.
That's point of information. If you, after the moderator caucus, if you want to friendly amend for that language, I think it would be a good idea. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next speaker, who is Harvey. It's going to be Harvey, and then Angela, and then our caucus will have ended.
So, first of all, I just want to say that I see how there could be some problems with the invasion text. I would not necessarily be opposed to an amendment there. However, I do think that as members of a government body, it is important to make a political stance sometimes, and I condemn any form of violence. So as such, it is important to stand with the humanitarian issues here. The organizations that are being supported at this on Saturday are all humanitarian in nature. There was a long back and forth of removing any military references from those that would be supported on Saturday. So this
10-second warning.
Indirectly benefit any military action, but I do think that it is completely appropriate to take a political stance here. And I say that as an international studies major.
I'm closing that. Alrighty, Angela, you are the last speaker before the caucus expires.
Yeah, so I was basically just going to say something very similar to Harvey, like that it is necessary to do a political standpoint sometimes, and was going to connect it back to like when we did the email with Black Lives Matter and all that. It was us taking a political standpoint, and it is sometimes necessary if that's what the student body as a whole, like most of the would. That's all.
I can take a point of information. The moderator caucus has now
Motion
expired.
to amend, striking invasion and replacing with humanitarian crisis.
Okay, condemning the humanitarian crisis and stand in solidarity.
Friendly amendment.
I recognize that friendly amendment. It's currently on the table. Does the writer of the bill accept the friendly amendment?
Yes. What if other people are against that?
So you can object.
Yeah, I'm getting there, slow and steady. All in favor of this friendly amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or objections?
Aye.
You say nay, but thank you.
Nay.
So we have one nay against that, majority passes. So the amendment has been accepted by the bill writer. You can go ahead and do that. Thank you, bill writer.
Just sorry to be that person, but point of order, it's now hostile technically if there's an objection, so we have to do
the whole voting thing?
Yep.
Alrighty, so we have to do roll call?
Yeah.
Right.
Great, okay, ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Aye.
Aye.
Side conversations are not allowed during roll call.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, we have 2 nays, the ayes have it, majority approved, so the amendment has now passed. Are there any other motions on the table? Peter, I recognize you.
Friendly amendment to include a section of acknowledging the feelings of certain of those that represent the Russian community, acknowledging that might not be the decision they made. And that purpose of to have including a phrase like that is to.
If you're motioning for a friendly amendment, it should be a little more specific. Do you have it written out already?
Oh, my bad, no.
Okay, withdraw that really quick.
Motion to vote.
1 second. Will you withdraw your motion really quick? Peter?
Yeah, I'll withdraw.
Okay.
Motion to vote.
Chinette technically had his hand up first.
Okay, that wasn't a motion though, to be clear. Point of order.
No.
You just said friendly amendment.
No, I haven't recognized you as having a motion yet, so I recognize Chinette.
Motion for friendly amendment to change condemning to concern.
To release a statement concerning the humanitarian crisis.
No.
Okay. Does the bill writer accept that amendment, or does the person who suggested it want to withdraw or anything like that?
I withdraw.
Got it.
Motion to vote.
Second.
All in favor of moving into voting procedure on this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? We're now going into roll call.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Please speak up.
Nay.
G1.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Pritika.
Nay.
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 Totals?
11 nays. So it passes.
And one abstention.
Ayes have it.
There was an abstention. Is that right?
That's why I'm counting. 1, 2, 3. I didn't count you, you're fine. Okay, so 24 with 1 abstention gives us 23, which I believe I still have it by like 1 person. Alrighty, so we are now in voting procedure. This is simply to move into voting procedure. All in favor of passing this resolution in the form that it currently stands, please say aye.
Just point of information, I'm gonna remind people that your votes are public record.
Yeah.
Aye.
Let's try that one more time. All in favor of passing this resolution in the form that it currently stands, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay. Roll call.
Point of information, is anybody intending on amending? Is anybody working on an amendment?
Just a quick one. Yeah, I feel like we should have more time to discuss this.
I just go off of what's voting. If the majority of people wanted more time to discuss, they would have shot down voting procedure. That's the way Parley Pro is designed. It might not be perfect.
Information, can the person who's calling on the motion to like vote now withdraw that?
If they would like
I'm
to
not
with,
withdrawing it.
if they would like to withdraw so that we can do an amendment, that is their prerogative. They totally don't have to. If this doesn't get passed the way it is now, it can always be reintroduced later, but that's really not a thing that can happen. Do you have a point of information?
Point of information, if a resolution doesn't get passed during voting procedure, is it?
It's off. It's done. It doesn't get passed.
For the whole day. Or for like the whole.
Yeah, it can be reintroduced. Point of information, it can be reintroduced at another meeting, but this is a time-sensitive one, I believe. Does anybody else have any further points of information?
Point of information.
1 second. Point of information, Mahek would like me to share with the group that we can motion to table until after a 5-minute discussion or something like that.
Like you can, point of information, you can motion to table until a specific time frame, like that's allowed in Parley Pro, like it can be like motion to table until blah blah.
I'm gonna withdraw my
convenes.
motion. Can we motion for a 10-minute recess?
Voting procedure was already.
We're in, yeah.
You have to vote. You're in voting procedure.
Even if the person withdraws their motion?
You're beyond that.
Okay. It's too late to withdraw the motion. We are voting on the way it is now.
Point of information.
Yes.
So, just to clarify, at the end of this voting procedure, that will be the only time we can consider this resolution before the event actually happens on Saturday in which Johns Hopkins from several divisions will affirm support as a student body regardless of SG.
Unless we have some sort of emergency meeting before then, yes, this is the last chance to consider this resolution. If we vote no on this, there will not be another consideration of this resolution. We can do it next week, but it won't be in support of this.
Point of information. If it does get approved, because it's now an approved like piece of legislation, couldn't we edit it within the lines of it being like?
When we approve a resolution, we approve it the way it stands.
You can't change it.
Yeah, afterwards. It's not like the SAC guidelines where we can amend afterwards. Point of information, could we reject it and then reintroduce it in the same session that way we could allow edits? I didn't think so, but clarify.
Point of information, no one has voted yet, so could we still?
No, once you're in voting procedure.
We're in voting procedure.
We're actively in it.
Go through the roll call.
Yeah, so we're doing the roll call now, going through. This is to pass the resolution in the way it currently stands. Say aye, nay, or abstention.
Point of information, if we say no, we're not going to represent for Saturday.
Point of information, I would also really ask people if you've been looking at every resolution this carefully with the language. And as a Ukrainian, like that makes me very upset.
Point of information, we cannot just keep using points of information to say what we want. Alright, that is not the purpose of
Points
it.
of
So let's
information are
remember
to
that.
ask a clarifying question for the most part, and they tend to be reserved for not conversational
Point of
purposes.
information, I agree.
Okay, we're in roll call. Go.
I abstain.
I abstain.
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
Okay, that ayes have it. Again, abstentions are usually for conflicts of interest. We really, 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 really strongly urge you to take a position as a representative in SGA and not abstain, because then you're not really doing your due diligence as a representative. Remember, you're not saying your own opinions, you're saying the opinions of the student body. I just really want to emphasize that we try to have abstentions be to the absolute minimum, so we get a fair representative sample of the representatives who are representing the students. Alrighty, so this resolution has passed.
Humanitarian crisis. It's a whole.
Okay, newsletter. I know this is your first newsletter thing ever. SG is not usually like this. Read. I'm sorry. We're going to be moving on to the next item on the agenda.
Oh my god, I feel so bad.
Side conversations, please cease. Thank you very much for side conversations ceasing.
Point of information.
Yes.
Could you please stop asking people to not abstain, because I'm sure people have thought through their reasonings for abstaining.
It's in the bylaws. This isn't me having any personal preference. It's literally like in the rules that you're supposed to only abstain if you have a strong conflict of interest or something
I
like
know,
that.
but you've said it multiple times.
Yeah, I really want to emphasize that because I know not everyone reads the bylaws. And when I was a freshman, I abstained more than I should have as a person because I didn't want to cause problems. Okay, we're now can I have a motion to move into closed session because that is the next thing on the agenda.
Seconded.
All in favor of moving into closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We are now in closed session. Newsletter, I'm going to ask you to leave the room. Everybody please shut off your phones, shut off your laptops. Elena, I don't want to mess up the YouTube screening. Would you mind shutting that off? Nobody mention anything that happens in closed session outside, not to your friends, not to anyone else. And once it's happened in closed session, we don't discuss it again. This is entirely private, off the record, no paper notes, no pen notes, nothing like that. The only person that is allowed on their phone at this time is Karen, I believe, who is making a statement from somebody else. Is that correct, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay. We're shutting this off. So if everybody would like to get in. out of closed session and into normal session. That is the conclusion of new business. We're going to move on to advancing legislation and announcements. Advancing legislation, does anybody have anything? Trinette, Nathan. Nathan.
Dalhart's got something for non-funded organizations here that'll be coming out next week.
Kritika.
Kai and I are working on getting the mandatory CSO or finance requirement for all senators.
All right, Trinette.
A number of changes. The first one is that I'm working with IA to make a number of changes to our constitution and bylaws. The second thing is that, what we just experienced in our closed session, as well as the SGA retreat, has made me reflect more on how we really need to change the Hopkins culture from the ground up. Things that currently students really care about are grades, food, sleep, transportation, and social. So how can we really systematically shift the focus from grades and academics to more of the other areas? Really requires a multi-people effort. This is not something that one student, one class council, one committee, or one president can tackle. And that's why I'm saying this as a call of arms. If you're interested in really changing the Hopkins community and really changing the things, some of the ways that we're operating things here at SGA, please stay behind. I'd love to talk.
Okay. Advancing legislation? Go for it.
Wait, not really.
Okay. Announcements. I'm going to go really quick. Reed, I will not meet with you after tonight because today was a really long meeting. I will email you and set up a time with you. Latinx Caucus, if you are interested in it, we will not meet after tonight because tonight was a really long thing. There's a fundraiser going on for Save a Child's Heart. Message me if you want to donate. You get some stuff out of it. Happy Blue Jay Tuesday, and I forgot my last announcement for what it was. Does anybody else, Kobe, you have an announcement?
Tomorrow, Topic Ukraine Ethnophobia is having a pop-up panel with a bunch of very smart people. So you can either register in person or online. So
any other announcements?
Reminder, if you want to participate in the President Daniels event, please submit your stuff by Friday into the Hopkins Groups forms.
CSC election stuff has been sent out, so make sure you attend your info sessions if you are rerunning for next year.
I was also just going to add, I emailed them about something, or because there's conflicts, especially here in SGA, because they have a Tuesday, because the thing on Tuesdays are in GBM.
Is it really?
Yeah, so they actually said to me that they were thinking about opening up a Wednesday session, and that would be via Zoom. So keep an eye out for that, just because I know that might be more convenient.
Yeah.
You're going to do best dress.
We're going to go ahead and do best dress unless anyone else has any other announcements. No?
Any nominations?
I nominate Grace.
Grace, stand up. Beautiful. Reed.
I nominate Trinette.
Trinette, stand up. You got the whole fit. Any other nominations? We good? We good?
You guys accept your nominations?
Yeah. You accept? You accept? Okay, I know. We normally have so many nominations. Go ahead, close your eyes. If you're in favor of Grace having best dress, please raise your hand. Please raise your hand higher. I'm sorry, I can't see one. Okay, hands down. If you're in favor of Trinette having best dress, please close your eyes, raise your hand. We're gonna have to do that one more time. I'm sorry, keep your eyes closed. If you're in favor of Grace, please raise your hand really high. Will you count with me? If you are in favor of Trinette, please raise your hand.
Oh, yeah, it is even.
Okay, it's a tie.
Two winners.
Okay, Grace gives it to Trinette.
Trinette,
beautiful, beautiful. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Can I have a second? All in favor? All opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting's adjourned. Please put your placards up here. Please put your placards up here. No, no.
We got to meet to discuss the speaker. We got to meet to discuss the speaker. Yeah, that was long. There was okay, this one was worse.
Yeah, it's not fun. So I'm doing better now, but I was so I'm gonna go home and try some more.
Was there something specific?
Yes. Looking for changes in the bylaws.
Again, anything that was mentioned during closed session cannot be talked of now. It is gone forever.
Okay, I just felt like it should be conducted in basement. Like, I'm sorry, like why do I know, but I don't understand why you just vote so quickly. Is everything?
That's why it's very much fun.
That's one of the